when advocating for these types of things and not knowing that they're actually treason, like overthrowing the government actually is treason. Overthrowing the government or talking about it could be a crime, or uh, donating financially to someone who is going to do that. That can be a crime. These things must be understood. Otherwise, the people can be landed in hot water for essentially criminal acts and without even knowing it. Now, I do understand that mens rea does come into play in that a little bit. However, it is not necessarily the knowledge of the law. It is your intent. So if it is your intent to overthrow, not necessarily your knowledge of the law and what that means. So yeah, there's a lot of issues. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Clay. And now to Smart Ass Toasty.
I think I'll just kind of orient everybody on what exactly the Smith Act codified under 18 USC Section 2385 exactly is. It is a 1940 federal law that makes it a criminal offense or to knowingly or willfully advocate, abet, or teach violent overthrow of the United States government. It also penalizes organizing or joining groups that promote overthrowing the government. So basically, what this means is, or at least what I think it means, or what I believe it means, is that if you go and you join Antifa, or you go and you join any of these people who are saying no kings or no ICE or any of these things, they're essentially trying to overthrow parts of the government, and you could be lawfully labeled as a domestic terrorist. And I will turn it over to whoever goes next.
Thank you, Toasty. And Kraut Mick.
Yeah. Should we be advocating to overthrow the government? I don't think so, unless it's clear they don't have the American people's interest best at heart. Now, when the open panel degen part starts, I can go more into detail about certain areas of the government, like the cops and ICE and whatnot. But I mean, we got to look back. Why do we have the Second Amendment? It's not for protection. It's not for hunting. It's to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. So if the government ever became like that, then yes, we should absolutely advocate for to overthrow the government. But that's all I got for now.
All right. Thank you, Kraut. And for the win.
All right. So 18 U.S. Code 2385 is known as the Smith Act. It draws a clear legal line. It is not a crime to criticize the government, but it is a crime to knowingly advocate or promote its violent overthrow. The law targets not just the direct calls to action, but also the organizing, teaching, and support of efforts aimed at using force to dismantle lawful authority. At the same time, it stands balanced against the First Amendment, ensuring that only speech tied to real intent and imminent violence crosses into criminal territory. So I think in that last part, that's kind of the key distinction on all these things, like when Toasty brought up Antifa, these groups and such like that. You're going to have speech that's protected, but you have to go like almost above and beyond to prove that there is willful intent to overthrow the government. That's all I got, Ben.
Thank you for the win. And if I recall right, the Smith Act was mostly surrounding during the Cold War and some of the factions that came out as communist. And it was, I think, a push against that. I agree with Kraut that it is our duty to overthrow a tyrannical government. Now, the fact is historically, if you win, you're the heroes, you're the revolution, you're the freedom. If you lose, you're the traitors. End of story. You get what traitors get. So history is very much about who won or who lost.
Balder, can I add on that? It's real quick, just to add to the point that you just made. That's why when we fought the British, the people that aligned with the British that were in the nations were called loyalists. They weren't really loyal to the American people. But yeah, I just wanted to add on that.
Right. And we were absolutely treasonous until we won.
Yep.
When we won, we went from being traitors to being our own people, and they're the heroes of the new America. And if they lost, though, they were definitely hanging for traitors, for sure. Every leader, every person that we celebrate as a founding father was going to swing for that shit. There's no doubt.
And I think the key word in all of this is the word overthrow. There has to be some sort of success in that nature on that behalf. And when you actually read the code, it says in the end of the first paragraph, of the government of any political subdivision therein by force or violence, or by the assassination of any officer of any such government. So you have to be successful to some degree. So my question is, well, what about an attempted assassination? They didn't succeed, but they tried. Is that aiding and abetting at that point?
There's a difference, I think, between assassinating an individual and trying to overthrow the entire system.
Well, I guess, gentlemen, it sounds like we need to talk about Dennis versus the United States 1951, Yates versus the United States 1957, and Brandenburg versus Ohio 1969. Dennis versus the United States 1951. This was a Supreme Court case that was originally upheld the convictions of the Communist Party leaders, ruling that free speech is not absolute and does not protect advocacy for the destruction of the government. Yates versus the United States in 1957, the Supreme Court ruled effectively to scale back the power of the Smith Act, ruling that advocacy must be tied to a specific call for action to violently overthrow the government, meaning it has to be much more direct, like destroying government property and so on and so forth, rather than just abstract doctrine. Meaning, like, if you're just talking about communism, that's fine. But if you're like going out and you're destroying government buildings, you're torching cars, you're jumping on stuff, you're hurting government agents, so on and so forth, it has to get much more direct. The Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969, the court further refined this test, establishing that speech is protected unless it's directed to directly inciting imminent lawless action and is likely to produce such actions. And I'd also like to point out that just because you have the 2A, that does not mean that the government does not have a right to brand you as a domestic terrorist.
You know, Toasty, I love it when you talk court. Listen,
I'm fucking good at talking court.
For real though, like in the end of all of it, like, so what's going to happen is you're going to have one of two things are going to happen. Let's say that you win or they win or whatever. Somebody's got to come to the table and rewrite the laws. In either case, it's either going to be a legislation or it's going to be the court, right? Typically what happens, especially if you lose, is it's the court. So if the court gets a hold of you, these precedents will be what's going to be in play. So understand that if it is a thing that you're going to do, right, blah, 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 you lose, guess what? You go in front of the court. So this is what's going to actually apply. Now, if you win, sure, everybody comes to the table, the laws get rewritten, that's a whole different scenario. Anything can happen at that point. But those points right there that you brought up, right, in reference to speech and discussing topics like this, what would be allowable would be anything that essentially is not the intent of overthrowing the government, right? So if your actual intent is to cause real damage to the point of actually overthrowing any one of the governments, chartered throughout the United States or the entire United States government itself, then you are going to be labeled as committing that particular crime. So
An enemy of the state.
yeah, essentially, yes, exactly. And so the intent there is a big factor in this, because like just discussing it, as those cases have essentially repeatedly stated, that just discussing it for educational purposes, like we're doing now, not a big deal, right? Understanding what the purpose of the law is and the cases is, and your right to bear arms, because what we're really talking about here is the Second Amendment, right? Now, the discussion would revolve around, is the Second Amendment with the intent to be able to overthrow the entirety of a government? And my answer to that, what I believe, is no. It's not to completely destroy and dismantle the entirety of a government, but rather to fend off any immediate skirmishes of a tyrannical government so that peace can be restored.
Except when you're having a whole bunch of pockets attacking different sections of the government from head to bottom. I mean, you got the groups going after our president. You got the groups going after our police. You got the group going after our border patrol. You got the groups going after even just regular voting citizens.
You're throwing a whole bunch of things together in a mush that don't belong. Motherfucker, quit trying to get my food. That don't even belong together. Like the going after the police, the abolish the police movement. That isn't. They aren't saying we need to go have a firefight with the police. No, I've never heard them say that. So you're trying
to be a firefight.
You're trying to put all the things that you don't like that they do and advocate for all in one package, and that's nonsense.
I'm saying that it's going at different levels of the government. It's a pronged attack going at the whole.
Some of them are legal, some of them are illegal. Advocating for abolish the police is completely legal. Advocating to have a firefight with the police to get rid of them is illegal. We're talking about the other thing, not the legal things, and putting those in there just because you don't like them doesn't help make your case.
Smith Act is all about the government reserving the right to defend itself from the citizenry. That's fair. It's land of equal opportunity, Balderson.
I mean, the key is that
you just got done reading the laws. Did you not listen to what you were saying when you talked?
I did.
It's about this. It's about people arming themselves and going to have a firefight and destroying things. Advocating for the abolition of something verbally is not. That was specifically protected.
Yes.
So you mixing up protected activities that you don't like into ones that are actually illegal doesn't make your case. It makes you look silly.
I was being absolutely hyper specific in this. I was making the slight assumption that we all understand that we are talking about the violent groups that have gone out and attacked certain sections of our government, and why we can classify them as domestic terrorists. That's what I was doing.
Well, my question, Toasty, to that would be is that it really only just becomes criminal when it's tied to real intent and the likelihood of imminent violence. So once those conditions are met, can you be charged with this under this code? It seems like. Otherwise, all other speech, everything else is covered under the First Amendment. In my mind, it looks like.
The answer is yes. It's just whether or not they're going to persecute and make people examples.
Exactly.
That's the problem. They're not upholding the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about things in this day and age, you just say the words overthrow the government. How does one or a group, how do you accomplish that feat? Like, to me, like if this was to be employed or penalize someone, it almost has to be like a bad actor within government already doing something like Watergate, for example, going after someone like that in that regard.
Or I mean, we know a lot of these protesters. They're They're getting certain things from somebody. Somebody's fucking arming people with stuff and inciting them to get violent and deciding them to be reckless and break windows and destroy property and hurt officers and hurt citizens and so on and so forth. And our government has become, for lack of a better word, paralyzed against itself because it's forgotten all of its judicial powers that it has available to defend itself from such a thing. I mean, I know it's a little bit of thin ice, but when do the American people actually start looking at all these different groups and saying, you know what? No, these people are actually trying to destroy our country, and we need to allow our government to do something about it.
Well, I don't
I'm not
think
talking
it's-
about the just for clarification, I'm not talking about the people who are standing peacefully on the sidelines, holding up their stupid fucking signs and doing their little fucking war banner chants or whatever you want to say, you want to put it. I'm talking about the people who come out at fucking midnight.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Well, actually, so that actually brings us to like what would be a good example, right? So the Whiskey Rebellion's a pretty good example of a place where something like this might be utilized. Of course, that was a long, long time ago, before that particular law was enacted. But is it 1992? So the Los Angeles riots, right? So
Mhm.
essentially, at that point in time, individuals are intentionally going out with the intent to try to stop or overthrow the government there. Like in that immediate action, right? Like in those immediate threats of real damage, harm, violence, those instances, they could charge individuals with crimes like this. Now, probably a lot of
talking
people,
about the Rodney King riots.
probably 92, right?
Yeah,
But how does that meet the bounds of overthrowing
I'm not
a
sure.
government?
I'm not sure how that fits the bounds of they were trying to overthrow the government. Like that seems like specifically 1984 premeditated, group organized. We are going to go and take out the government and replace it with a new government. Like just causing overall mayhem because you're mad because you're mad because police brutally beat a dude for like 40 minutes or some crazy shit and then all got off it without charges. That's not trying to overthrow the government. That's having a severe fucking grievance with the system.
Now, Ben, I would argue that if those events happened as like event 1, and then there was an escalating event as event 2, and then event 3 was the true overthrow of the government, actually, and that you could pinpoint that, well, all of these events happened consecutively leading up to that, then at that point, I think you could charge these people under 2385. But up until an overthrow of a government happens, it doesn't meet that criteria.
Where did Clay go?
I don't see, but in order to actually get charged with this, you would need to prove that they had plotted to overthrow the government. You can't tell me that the LA riots that there was any particular plotting to do anything besides general mayhem.
Correct.
And which I'm not saying is legal. I'm saying it doesn't fit this.
Right. And that's what I was saying is like as a standalone event, you're absolutely right. It doesn't meet the bounds of 2385. But if that spiraled further and further and further, that led to an overthrow of a government, I think you could go back retroactively and go back to the start of how it all occurred and saying, well, those riots were the start of all of this leading up to the overthrow. Because in order to overthrow a government, is it just like a one act type of thing? Or does it have a series of other compounding things that lead up to that event?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there's a series of interchanges between unhappy populace, or at least a portion of the populace, and the government. I'm sure there's a series of exchanges, and in this, you could definitely make the case that the watching a citizen of the United States get brutally beaten for a substantial amount of time as he laid there on the ground, unable to even defend himself, getting beaten with freaking clubs. That the citizens of the United States, and especially of that particular city, got very angry, and that created the impetus for this group. I could definitely see this being made the case. And then at some point in time, there would be a differentiation between this group. They took their inspiration of this event to start beginning the plotting of the overthrow. It wouldn't get blamed on the general populace that was being purely reactionary to those officers all getting found not guilty.
Right. And I think also too, to
You guys
make it clear, is that
want to know what the provisions specifically target?
Yes.
Okay. The primary provisions of the Section 2385, it criminalizes advocacy. It is illegal. It makes it illegal to knowingly or willfully advocate, abet, or teach the duty or necessity of overthrowing any government in the United States by force or violence. The second provision that it specifically targets, it is a crime to organize or help organize or become a member of any society or group that teaches or encourages the violent destruction of the government. The third provision that it specifically targets is the material distribution. Publishing, printing, or circulating written matter that promotes or incites the overthrow of the government is strictly prohibited. The alien registration, the act required the fingerprinting and registration of all non-citizens in the United States, and mandated that the resident aliens report any change of address within 10 days. So basically what this means is it's literally illegal to even just say fuck the police. Actually, in all seriousness, it
Absolutely
makes
is not.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely
Yes, it is. That is literally what I just read. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's both in what it does.
The Supreme Court kind
both
of
in what it
disagrees
does.
with Toasty. In fact, they made rulings about it.
Yes, what it does is it leaves it up to the government to choose whether or not they want to prosecute it. But if the government wanted to prosecute you for saying
They
fuck
could.
the police, they can absolutely do it.
Yes.
Fuck no,
Yes, they
can't.
can.
Fuck no,
Yes, they can.
can't. That
Yes,
is
they
that is
can.
protected First Amendment.
That's
free
literally
speech.
what
The
it does.
Supreme-
Balderson,
Supreme-
listen to it again.
You understand
Listen to it
who's the
again.
law? Who's the
Listen to
law
it
of the
again.
land for
Listen to it again.
actually
Toasty, I'm reading it here too.
Criminalizes
the Supreme Court.
advocacy.
Not if your actions are already going into those other areas, then it's an altogether against you, because they're looking for you to achieve certain acts in order to go into those
They
violations.
can take it as premeditative.
Yes.
I think the
So-
key words,
So
Toasty, here.
if you're dressing with your face covered, you're wearing makeshift armor, you're walking in with makeshift weapons, you're doing harm to property, all those things. I had a guy deported in the early 2000s for threatening me. Okay. And he was from Britain and he was a Muslim. And they snatched him up and they threw him under terrorist threats. Boom, he was gone.
British Muslim
Yeah, he was a paparazzi.
and a paparazzi.
Yeah.
Boy, that sounds like a stinky snobby.
Yeah, he was a piece of
Yeah,
shit.
he sounds like a very pleasant individual.
Oh yeah, he was very pleasant. So so you have all of these things that are we're just not using the laws. That's just basically what it is. And they're fudging the line so that way they can choose whether to do it, whether not to do it. And Black Lives Matter used to have on their website that they were a Marxist group. That's already in violation of the Communist Act. You do have to realize that.
Yep.
But at that point, though, Nova, have you met the bounds of 2385? You can be classified as a terrorist group, and there are charges under being a terrorist group that they can get charged for. But have they met the criteria of 2385, in which it's stating here by force or violence?
Well, they can just
They're
apply
already doing
semantics.
it.
They can just apply semantics and make it as easy and as loose as they want to.
But that's where the First
But the
Amendment
court
comes in,
doesn't
Toasty.
agree. The court doesn't agree, and the court's the one who
The
makes
courts
those.
would absolutely agree. It depends on which court
The
you're going
court
to. That's what I
specifically,
said.
you even read the decisions where they said it
Some
must
courts are
include
tighter with their semantics than
the
others.
planning of violence. You read.
Some
You
courts
read.
are tighter with their
That's what the
semantics
court
than others.
said. Those are the guys who actually freaking decide what the law says.
I'm not
Can I-
disagreeing on that point. But
Can I
some
answer
courts are
Marty's-
tighter with their words than others and their definitions than others. That's why you have liberal courts and you have Republican courts and you have Democratic courts and
We
some
have the
courts
Supreme
are a little bit more intensive.
wait. Can I say
No.
something about what Marty asked me? Marty Jackson in the audience said, was it local police or ICE that took him? It was local police in Beverly Hills who initially grabbed him first. So there you go. Local police did it first. So what you're seeing now is a massive degrade of your law systems and the authorities at work. You have to understand what's at play. And I'm just old enough to be dangerous. So it is what it is.
You even said it yourself the other night, Balderson, that the government and the courts and everybody, they like to sit there and do all this fucking wordplay so that they can do whatever the fuck they want.
And the courts have already put precedent on this. Violence is a specific thing. Are we going to play the liberal games where we?
Yeah, we're
pretend
trying to
like
make
words
speech
aren't what they
violent
mean?
currently.
Violence,
Balderson,
violence specifically is a specific thing, so they need to specifically advocate for that. That's what the court said. They need to coordinate,
and
put
they're
out
trying to
flyers
be-
about it. It all has to be surrounding. There is impending violence.
Correct.
and we're trying to make words be classified as violence. That's what they're trying to
That-
do.
It's protected
So that
under
they
the
can go
First
after
Amendment,
anyone they
Toasty.
want.
You're taking the liberal side on words or violence. Is that what we're doing, Toasty, to try and win your point?
That's
like
why
a
they need all the
jackass?
safe spaces and shit. We're talking about liberals, Balderson, specifically.
Well, they
liberals and
haven't
what they're
changed
doing.
words to violence, have they? They say the dumb shit just like you are right now, but it doesn't fucking mean fuck all because violence includes violence. Words are not violence.
Depending on which court you're going with.
All courts agree with that. No courts think words
That's
are
not true.
violence.
That's
Damage
not
to
true at all.
property counts.
And I
Well,
think where
that-
it does say, you guys, it does say that it's about the overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States or the government of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof. So when we think of overthrowing the government, I think we always think on a federal level. I think it's easier if you take it on a micro level and take
State
it
to
on a
state.
state level first.
Yes.
Like how would
I
you
was thinking
overthrow a
state.
state, for example, you know? And in my mind, offhand,
Tyranny.
what we're witnessing in California right now with these elections, let's watch on how these votes come down and everything. I think that could easily fall under 2385 of overthrowing California's government by not allowing the duly elected people elected if the elections truly are stolen. I think that would meet these bounds with it.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
was
by
thinking-
force. It's not the violence aspect. It's
they
the
aren't trying
force
to
of their
overthrow
nature.
I
the
was thinking
government.
state by
They're
state.
trying
I
to
wasn't
fix
thinking
an
federal.
election.
Can you apply force without violence?
If you're under the code, if you're propagating literature, advocating for it, even though you're not strictly involved in it, yeah, you fall underneath it.
So let me say real quick. I think everybody here, well, not everybody. I think Boulder, Nova, and Toasty have good points, and I agree with all y'all on separate things. But to make force, it has to be. I mean, if people reject that force, the only way you can make that force happen is through violence, regardless on where you stand at.
All right, gentlemen and lady of the panel, I'm just going to bust in here real quick and say the StreamYard link is pinned. If you'd like to come up to the conversation, we are live on the Spin City News channel, the Benjamin Balderson channel. We are also live on spincitynews.com. We are also live on X, Rumble, Pilled.net. We are live over on the School of Thought channel and the Toasty Man Bad channel on YouTube. If you would like to please, if it pleases you, please donate to the Cash Apps and or super chats if you have a question. Also, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button to all the creators on the panel. Yes. Ben. Yes. So, Mr. Balderson, back to you, sir, and the panel. Forgive the commercial break.
I'm not even sure how fixing an election would fall under this, because once again, it doesn't include violence. They're fixing. I wouldn't disagree that there's definitely election cheating here, mad election cheating, but that I don't see where this fits under that. They aren't trying to overthrow the government. They're trying to fix an election. They still want the government to remain intact.
I think the subversion
distribution.
The subversion of the vote, Ben, I believe would be considered the force argument under it. It's not violent force, but it's still force to not allow the will of the people that wanted what they wanted. They chose otherwise. I think that would be the considered
violent
force.
rhetoric.
The violence was very specific in their decisions. Not the word force wasn't specific. The word violence was specific.
Material distributions, dude. I disagree.
But it had it listed in there.
Those material distributions would have been for advocating violence. You guys are
Advertising
that
it,
part
you
out
mean using
when that's
speech?
all part of the decision.
Force.
Just distributing materials that are, say, Marxist, that's perfectly legal.
I mean, here in Wisconsin, they ransacked the Capitol here back in 2010 over Scott Walker's decision of mandating like teachers and such to be able to actually make some of their money go towards health insurance, and they were pissed about that. But they were protected under the First Amendment because they were there to air a grievance ultimately. So in that realm, it doesn't meet the standards of 2385 because you're not overthrowing a government. They still went to a Capitol, did what they did there that day. Could there have been other criminal acts that were done? Absolutely. But I just don't think it meets the standards of 2385. It has to be very, very specific, and the willful intent aspect has to be met as well.
They already
So
ruled in
according
1951
to
that all
Black's
free speech
law-
is not protected.
According to Black's law, defines violence as the abuse of force, or that force which is employed against common rights, laws, and public liberty. It is legally synonymous with physical force and includes both actual bodily harms and actions used to intimidate or overawe someone with the apprehension of personal injury. It requires violence.
That's
Not force.
That's why the left wants to get hate speech categorized under it, so that way they can use the hate speech clause to go after anybody that they want to. And deem them
Again,
as
are you
a
on the
traitor to
left,
United
Toasty?
States.
Because you seem to be advocating for the same exact thing. So I'm not sure why you're criticizing the
What
left.
do you mean I'm
you're
advocating for the
it.
exact same thing? I'm against it. I'm saying that's why we don't
No,
want to let
you're
them get
for it.
anywhere.
You're trying to say words are violence, so that way
I'm
you can.
saying
So that
they're
way you can
saying that
classify
words are violence. I'm not saying that I'm saying that words are violence.
No, when
What
you're
the
saying
fuck
that
did I say
you want
that?
to classify them as terrorists, you are saying words are violence, and that's how it's.
That's what they're saying. That's what the fucking Democrats are saying. Trump's using
That's
hate
not what the
speech.
courts are
Trump's acting
saying.
like a traitor to the United States. He said mean words. Blah 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 blah. We need to move against him. We need to remove him from the office. We need to do this, and that. I'm not
That's
saying
not
that
what
I'm
the
fucking
courts are
on
saying.
their
Who gives
side
a shit what
at all.
Democrats say? Democrats say stupid shit. So do Republicans. They aren't the fucking law.
And I'm saying our fucking government has the right to do something about it.
And you're saying that we should use words or violence to charge these people as terrorists under this particular act so you're just with them. And that's what you don't see is the fucking irony and the absolute ridiculousness of this. That's not even the law. Your dumbass is advocating for the same thing they are, because this is why I laugh at the Republicans and Democrats, because you're the fucking same. You're the fucking same. You guys are the reason
really
the
not.
system
Because
is shit.
No, we're really not, because we want to.
You really are.
Make
You really
sure
are.
that we
This one
get
has your
that we
feelers, and
get
you
it
feel
clipped
this
and
way
nipped in the
about it.
bud.
Never mind what the Supreme Court said. Never mind the court decisions. Toasty feels this way. So fuck the law.
I didn't say I feel. I didn't say I fucking feel at all. Don't you fucking straw man me. Don't you fucking straw man me, Boulderson.
I'm not
I
straw
didn't say I
manning you.
feel
I'm
at all.
fucking,
I did not say I feel at all. I read objectively what the
pathetic.
fucking law is and the powers that they have.
It's pathetic. You went on and banged on about how fucking courts could find that what they said is violence and words are violence. You just don't
Courts
like it when the left says that
courts
dumb
can.
shit.
It's case by
You
case
apparently
basis.
like it when you say it.
Case by case basis, Baldy. Courts
Okay,
can.
then let me give you an ask here. So let's say what Toasty's implying here, you have these people out in the streets, they're protesting, there's this, and that. And Nova said about distributing literature. If they were distributing literature that was contrary to the truth of the matter, would that meet 2385 at that point?
Does it promote violence?
You know, I'd like
If literature
to
did,
hear. I'd
doesn't.
really like to hear Clay's take on this.
Yeah.
Because I did ask him to come in because he is our resident constitutionalist. Clay, are you there, sir? Oh, Clay.
I'm
He's
here.
taking. Okay.
Can,
Clay,
can I say
would
something
really-
real
you are our resident constitutionalist and my co-host.
Sure.
What is your take on what has been said so far, sir?
Like the thing is it's a lot of, opinions being talked about, but very little law. And so because of that, a lot of things are assumed to be so, whereas, one of the things that I was trying to do earlier was I was trying to bring up examples in history of instances where either it has been assumed that there were real rebellions, or it could be argued that according to the actions taken, you could compare that to the law and see parallels with what the law says to actual rebellions. Now, I brought up one earlier, but apparently I got shot down immediately because some people feel some kind of way about that particular thing, the 92 riots.
I was trying to clarify what you were saying.
Okay. Well, those 92 riots, while many of those people were charged on a state level, there were definitely attempts to overtake governmental buildings in the attempts to basically overthrow. Now, did the state ask the feds to come in and then the feds come in and they get charged? No. No federal charges were ever charged. However, when you look at what is actually occurring in these instances of protests, when people like in was it Oregon or was it Portland, right? Portland was a classic primary example of recent events where the federal government ought to step in because the city has been overthrown. Essentially, there is no communication with that governmental authority because whoever the citizens were there, there's no communication coming out about an actual government and what's being done to protect the general public. And essentially, that is the government's job, the general welfare and the common defense. That is the Constitution. That is their job. When we pay them to do this job and then we turn around and we say, no, we're going to bind your hands to do that by not allowing you to even see what's going on inside of our local government, then the federal government is going to turn around and say, well, we're not going to allow that because the Constitution gives us this authority, gives us this power. The greater federal legislation has given us this power. And so that's the idea right there, is that these acts of treason, these acts of sedition, they must be taken into consideration even on the local level. It's not just the federal government that has the opportunity to be taken over by, seditious acts, but it's actually the local governments as well. This is how it happens. But that's my take on it, because you have to take into account the law itself. It's one thing to say these people are doing things that I don't like, and those things are crimes, but it also takes into account whether those things are with the intent to take over even a local government.
Did you guys come up with any examples of what you thought would be sedition, what wasn't? Because I really was in and out so much.
I mentioned the Whiskey Rebellion, and then I also mentioned the 92 riots. But there are countless other instances throughout history that have been noted to be rebellions.
The 92 riots, if you're going to count that, then we count them J6 too.
I mean
J6 was an attempt to really take over the government, right? If the riots was to take over a police station here, J6 was an attempt to absolutely steal the election and take over and run the government. That should have been talked about.
I wouldn't call the Rodney King riots a insurrection, though. I was at the one in Seattle. It got rowdy, it got violent. They destroyed some property, but they weren't trying to overthrow the city or anything.
I agree. I do remember a police station that they burned up.
Took over police stations.
Sure.
So, but I would agree with you. I wouldn't consider it overthrowing the government or anything seditious.
No.
We're not saying that it was trying to. It was an attempt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. To overthrow the government or to set a police
No,
station.
was this
on
ever
fire.
It was
They
an
were
organized
angry at the
attempt.
police because the police had done something and gotten away with it that was completely illegal. That's not trying to overthrow the government and become a new government. They were
That's how I
just
see
burning
it.
and looting.
Yeah.
If you want a more, if you want a real good example, look at Chaz. They took over 6 square blocks of downtown Seattle for weeks. Wouldn't allow police or even emergency responders into the area. We don't even know what happened in there because
That's
nobody
dope.
was allowed inside.
I don't know where
You
you
know
said
that
it.
was
I'm not familiar with that story.
The
Chaz,
You know
Chaz,
they brought back
autonomous zone?
segregation.
Chaz Chop in
2020?
Portland.
No, it was in Seattle.
Was it Seattle? Oh yeah, Chaz Chop. The story about
Yeah,
where
the
they took
Capitol
over
Hill
that
The
is
Seattle
zone.
Autonomous Zone. That's what it's
Or
called.
the Capitol Hill occupation protest, I think they turned it because they realized autonomous zone sounded a little bit too close to an insurrection. Maybe we should rebrand this.
Wait, I gotta ask, and I hope I'm not, just being a troublemaker here. But the obvious one, our best example seems to be J6. No one thought of that.
No,
I mean,
That
you
pause
can-
is a no.
You can examine that one as well.
yeah, you could.
I'm surprised
think
you
you're-
guys haven't. Which
I'm- God.
this makes this shit interesting because it makes me think that you guys have in your head, if not out loud, and determine it doesn't fit. I think it's got some good stuff worth discussing. Yeah.
It's not that. I'm sick of relitigating.
I mean,
January
there were
6th
literally
every
people
day.
charged. There were literally people charged with those types of crimes.
Yep,
So.
seditious conspiracy with.
So
that
some of
one
you do
cowboy
agree
guy.
that it was. Not just
Not
that they
that
were
it was,
charged.
not-
I'm wondering if you guys agree that it was a overthrow or attempt at an
No.
overthrow or whatever.
No,
No?
I think it was a protest that got out of hand. There was some people that got way out of hand. I don't think
they
it
were-
rises to the level of insurrection though. There wasn't any kind of organized effort to really take over anything. They just seemed to want to get
Yeah,
in, and they didn't know what to do.
And a lot of
You
it
might
was a
be-
lead,
There was-
like
there
a
was no
lead effort
intent.
too.
You
There
might
was
be
a lot of it
forgetting-
was-
There was no
Why-
intent to completely remove the government as a whole.
Do you remember what they were trying to stop? They were trying to stop the election.
Yeah, but they weren't trying to change it from the United States of America to the United States of fucking Bangkok or some shit like that.
Wait. No, it doesn't have to be taken over to nothing foreign. We don't have to go there. If the existing government
that's exactly what this act does. That's what it protects against.
And Joe, this
That's why
does go back to what
J6
Ben was
would not be
saying too.
considered.
Wait, I need to know if what he's saying
That's
is
also
true.
why
too.
the 92 riots would not be considered.
Exactly.
I also don't think January 6th falls under this, but I don't think the 92 riots do either.
Let me give
Neither
some
do I.
evidence why I think January 6th would. The most important thing we have to remember is the purpose. Stop thinking about what the people did. What was the purpose?
The
It was because
purpose was just to get a
I
recount
was
of the
about to
vote.
say, I was about to
Joe,
give my opinion
Wait,
on what
wait,
the
wait, wait,
purpose
wait,
was.
wait. Clay,
Yes, sir.
please clarify what January 6th was really about.
So January 6th was about verifying the electoral votes. That's what the intent was. Okay.
Right.
Now it could be argued that it was intended also to slow the process so that the votes could be counted properly, which could be election interference, maybe. Of course, you'd need to prove intent there as well, but it was not with the intent of overthrowing it. It was with the intent, from my perspective of what people were saying that were involved in that they wanted to verify the election results properly.
Here's why I'd say it was an overthrow, because Trump didn't want to verify the election results. He called
Yes,
up.
he did.
Excuse me.
Yeah, he did.
Excuse me.
Yes, he did.
You guys
Hold
let
on.
Clay,
He
let
wanted
Clay
to
go.
recount.
You guys
Toasty,
totally
let him
interrupted me to
finish.
let Clay go. Right.
Toasty, let him finish. Also, I want to say, stuck in New York from over on pilled.net. Good to see you, sir. Welcome. I will get you in there. Go ahead, Joe.
That's a great handle. Stuck in New York. That's a good handle. Here's the reason that the best reason. I got more, but the first one I'd like to talk about is Trump didn't try and get a recount or something. He called up 7 different, I think it was 7 different states, and pressured them to change, give a different electoral. Then he called up, I think Pence was in at the time, and told him, don't certify the legitimate results, put mine instead. That's what it was
No, he did
about.
not. No, he
Small
did
point of
not.
order. He did try to push for some recounts, but he got shut down every single time. Wasn't even allowed to make his case. It was just like,
No,
no,
him picking his
count's
own
done.
electorates. He sent his own electorates
Hey,
there. Don't you
he
remember?
did.
He called.
But that's been done before.
Yeah,
That's got precedence. Like, that's not the first time it's happened.
that's
It's
Now,
really the
can
unusual.
you-
I think it's
I
a
wa- I- I- I
bad
wanna
strategy,
talk to
but
Clay.
it's
Hold on, one at a time.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's how it goes here. One at a time. Go ahead, Ant.
No, I was done. I finished.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll
Kraut.
give. Go, Kraut.
All right. Well, first, I think, and I'll ask Clay because I know he's pretty knowledgeable and he's got a computer like me. We have to look up the definition of what overthrowing the government actually is, because there's a distinction between fighting against the government, like the prohibition, and trying to overthrow the government. So, Clay, if you will take a few seconds to actually look up the definition for that, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, sure, I could do that. So it would be forcible
Right.
subversion, destruction, or removal of an established government's lawful authority and sovereignty. So I'm going to do it one more time. Forcible subversion, destruction, or removal of an established government's lawful authority and sovereignty.
All right.
Okay, two
And I
things.
agree. Hold on. I agree with that definition. Now, a couple things. I don't believe Black Lives Matter made a difference. I believe Antifa is a terroristic organization, but I don't believe even those could be classified as an entity trying to overthrow the government. Like January 6th can't even be classified as that. Like there's no 92 can't even be classified on it with the definition that Clay Jason give. You can fight against the government, but all in all, in order to start to overthrow the government, you actually have to start in your state and get the National Reserve on your fucking side, because every state holds 2 militias: the National Reserve and individual citizens.
National Guard reserves are are part of the main body. Like the Army Reserves belong to main army. The National Guard belongs to the state they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but the National Guard is technically a militia.
Yes.
No, well, yes and no, because it belongs to the state. And when they talk about the militia in the Constitution, they're talking about fighting age men between 17 and 42 in the era of the Constitution. But in modern parlance, it's basically any adult.
Yeah,
All right.
but-
I'm sorry,
yeah, so-
that came out wrong. I didn't mean that they sounded like a.
And
No,
I'd like to
that
comment
That came out
on,
way too
on
logical.
Joe here.
I'm sorry.
You were correct though.
Hey,
what you
Spin, I
said.
have a dono that came in from P. Fletch. Can I read this?
Yep. And then we're going to go to the one on the screen. Go ahead.
Okay. P. Fletch said the Battle of Athens, Tennessee should be studied more in terms of lawful citizen militia deployment. Thank you, P. Fletch.
Thank you there. Thank you, P. Fletch. Wildcard Worship over on the Benjamin Balderson channel brings the big two. How many panelists admit to being a slave to Jesus? And before the panelists respond, I'm going to be very fucking clear to everyone. If I see another thing about what they want to do to one of my panelists, you're banned. Period.
Oh, they're fucking
It's
simping for Nova, bro. I
fucking-
saw that. Like they need to get a fucking wife or something.
Wait, they're not simple for me. What the hell's going on? in this
Hold on.
chat?
I'm talking.
Seriously.
I'm talking.
My apologies.
My panelists are here to entertain you. I don't want to hear about how your dick's getting fucking hard or what you want to fucking do to my panelist. It will not be fucking tolerated, period. So that's going to set the precedent tonight and any other night. Period.
Serious.
It will not be
crack
fucking
jokes behind
tolerated.
That one.
It will not be tolerated. Benjamin, back to you.
I am an Odinist. Jesus does not exist in my system. So no, not so much here. Nova?
Jesus is a bad.
I'm waiting for him to finish. Are you done, Joe? I'll go in after you.
Go ahead, Nova.
He calls us all brothers in Christ because he said there's neither male nor female, bond nor free, Jew or Gentile. So, honey, I'm a brother. I'm not a slave. So there we go.
Stuck in New York.
I like
Do you
her
have a
answer.
response for the super
I'll-
chat? sir?
I'll go with her answer. It was good. It was
Thank
good.
you.
Toasty
well
man
versed.
bad.
I'm sorry. What's the question or whatever?
The question, Wildcard Worship over on the Benjamin Balderson channel sends the big two and says, how many panelists admit to being a slave to Jesus? Do you have a response?
He's a humble God. He doesn't take slaves, but he will accept followers.
Kraut?
Yeah, to imply that we're slaves to, and I'm a Christian, but to imply that we're slaves to Jesus is implying that God gave us no free will, and that's just not true. Well,
Clay.
that's stupid.
Clay, your response.
Yeah, Jay's is my friend. We're friends.
Jesus my friend too. Jesus my big homie.
For the win.
I'll defer to Nova's statement, but it could say follower, brother, but certainly not a slave. That's the word I think that's tripping up everyone here on the panel.
God's
that's what
I think that word was put there on purpose. That was kind of the statement that was being made, I think.
And it's a trap statement.
Yeah, but slaves have no free will, and God gave us free will. So I don't even understand that statement. It's probably a liberal trying to sound smart as usual. It backfired.
Or an atheist.
I can give you the answer yes, but that's only because I actually do the work. Like when it talks about being a slave for Jesus in the scripture, it's talking about actually going out and doing the preaching work. There's that part, right? Slaving for Jesus. That's That's what it means to be slave to Jesus. And it's not the whole, now I'm saved and all that, and learn about Jesus and all that. That part about being a slave to Jesus is about the work. Like if you're not working,
why not just call it work or labor then? Why call it slaving? Because that's got a very negative connotation.
Yeah, because Clay, with that definition you just gave, you would say everybody that works is a slave to their government.
Well,
the
word slave is also synonymous with servant, that sort of thing.
The word slave didn't
exist. I would slightly disagree with that.
They had a whole different word for it.
Well, you might disagree with it. It's just the reality of things.
You might be a servant to Jesus, but you're not a slave to Jesus, because you can leave Jesus at any time you want. He does not.
I don't recommend that.
Sorry, sir, you cannot leave Jesus.
I don't recommend that.
I don't think you can. I think it's in your. If you're really a kid of God, it's in your DNA. You don't really have choices. You don't even have those desires. And I would say more of you. I missed it because my phone went out and I was switching phones. But most of you guys are slave to Jesus. I'm sure you rebelled heavily. If you think of Jesus, you probably misidentified him like you do God and all of that stuff. Hold on.
How are we slaves to Jesus?
I was about to say, if Jesus is vibration, which is mercy, forgiving, unconditional love, those things, strive and be better, do better, love thy neighbor. If these things are Jesus, you chase those. Probably some of you chase those under a different name, but you would have found Jesus, but you'd be calling him something else.
So is the question slave to God or slave to Jesus? I've kind of forgotten.
Jesus.
Okay. Definitely not a slave to a dead 2,000-year-old Galilean Jewish street preacher.
Well, I mean, basically,
easy.
Nothing I said is false.
Well, I have good reason, right?
Is that you? That laugh is so fucking annoying, man.
Come on, that's Joe.
I continue to slave because he did me good, and he's never done me wrong. So for those very good reasons, I choose to continue to slave. I mean, why would I go against something that is a good thing and that never does me wrong?
Well, semantics. What's the definition of a slave? We got to talk semantics here. What's the definition of a slave?
I think can't walk away when you want.
What you're calling it, right? It's not the There's no problem with what you're doing. What you're doing is fine. It's just what the words you're using to describe it. In today's parlance, I would suggest updating to something like work or labor, because
how about this
negative connotation?
You don't want to say
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even with the comment that was just pulled up, right? So are you like, if you claim somebody to be your king, right? Because that's essentially what it is. He is my king. You are essentially completely subservient at that point. That's just the way it is.
Like that's a fair analogy.
That's not the way heathens live, and
not
ours
the same
the
as
heathen.
slavery.
No, it's not a heathen thing. That's never been
not
a
the way
thing.
heathens live.
Yes.
We're free men. We are free
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
We choose whether we follow. We
Yeah.
choose whether we follow the Jarls.
But you can't choose
or
to.
not.
But you can't choose
Well,
to
hold
not
on.
die.
Submitting
Hold on,
to an
Clay, again,
authority
with
does
your
not make you a
example.
slave.
I mean, you
Clay,
can't
again, with
choose
your
to not
example,
die.
doesn't-
You have to die at some point, right?
That's biological reality.
Yeah, so that's
That's
biological reality.
That's nothing that's being inflicted upon you. It's just
So
the
what,
way of the
what
world.
happens to you after you die?
Don't know. Haven't died yet.
Yeah. Well, I believe something else happens.
Clay,
That's fine.
with your example given
ask.
of you're a servant to a king, so therefore you're a slave. Well, I mean,
That's exactly right.
we,
That's the way that works.
yeah, well,
Subject.
we can be, you can choose to disobey your king, and consequences happen. But with
Yeah.
your example, you would have to apply that to the U.S. state laws.
The
Like,
subject.
we-
Yes.
yeah, but that's
The beauty of the U.S. state law or the U.S. code is that we can also choose to not be subservient, and we can still be subjects of Christ. Right? I can literally do everything I'm supposed to do to be subservient to my king and not break U.S. code or any state law.
Okay.
That's the beauty of the country we live in. That's one of the things that I actually love.
Why is that beauty? Let me make sure I understand you right. You're saying it's beautiful that you can be slave to the code and not break any of the king's laws. But what about God? You're under God. The king's laws may not coincide with God's laws. Why is that beautiful? It's horrible at them moments. Yeah,
No, they do. No. My king's code does completely coincide.
I'm talking about the U.S. code and all of that type of shit. The laws here in the U.S.
Yeah,
they don't coincide with God.
I can choose to obey I can choose to obey the U.S. code and still not violate any of God's laws. None of my king's code. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see how.
Which law would I? Which law? Point one out that I would be able to break one of God's laws by following.
By following a law?
Yeah. By which U.S. code would I break God's law by following?
I was thinking the codes themselves are immoral. If you believe in them, I don't know whether you follow or not follow them. I'm not sure if that's the point I'm trying to make. But to jail a motherfucker, yes, to jail a motherfucker,
so U.S. code,
to jail a motherfucker for smoking weed, Clay, I think that's evil.
Which U.S. code, statute, code, ordinance? Which U.S. code, statute, code, or ordinance in the United States could I follow and still, because I followed that, end up breaking one of God's laws under the Christian doctrine?
Well, there's several in regards to abortion. Right.
So if I don't have an abortion,
no, you're not getting what
I'm following. No, I'm following the law.
In some states,
I'm not forced to have an abortion.
To have one, yes.
I'm not forced to have an abortion. I'm not forced to have.
You're not. You personally.
Neither is a woman. Not a single woman is forced to have an abortion in any state in the United States.
In some circumstances, that has occurred in my state specifically.
Okay, can you point out any case where any woman has ever been forced to have an abortion?
Sure.
Are you talking about if her life is in danger?
Please put it in the back chat. And I have some friends. I have some friends that we do civil rights cases. So if you have that person's name, contact information, put it in the back chat. We will get a hold of them. We will fight for her rights.
Oh no,
I don't believe that you have
that. I'm aware of.
Yeah, you don't have.
I'm aware of have done that, as a matter of fact. And I'm not going to dox them directly, but no, they have.
No, but
handled and settled. No, it's a fact.
Are you talking about coercion? Like somebody
was talking about
any
and every code in the United States.
Through law and code in certain hospitals.
No.
This occurred in New York. It's why we have the precedent we do as to why it's illegal.
There is no code, ordinance, statute, no U.S. code that's going to force a woman to have an abortion.
A federal code? No, I would agree that.
No statute code.
No federal code. No federal.
This isn't China. There's no population control. Well, they claim they're not. That's a different discussion.
What about
there's literally no law?
I'm not so sure. What about, let's say there are business laws that I would suck at because all I did was sell drugs, but you have to get a corporation, you have to pay X amount of money to this guy. Suddenly it's immoral because that guy is immoral. Is that a thing? Could it be possible?
So you want me to taxes? Like taxes? Kind of thing?
I don't know. There could be some law where you have to pay X amount of money to some immoral fuck, whatever you think is immoral, and you have to do it by law because your business, in order to own the business, have to give X amount of cent X amount to the lottery or whoever the fuck. I don't know.
I'm not required to own a business.
That is an option. You could put your business somewhere where that isn't a requirement for you to pay into.
Doesn't sound pretty.
Hold up. I want to get back to this abortion thing. Whoever said some states make people get an abortion?
No. I said that it has occurred in some places. Is what I said. I didn't say currently you're being forced. I used it as an example because there is.
What do you mean, like 200 years ago or some shit like that?
No, less than 100. About 65-ish, I believe, was the one. And
but you can't name.
Mistaken, it was
incident.
I could. One of them was a family member of a family member, so I could. But I'm.
Oh yeah, I heard. I'm remiss. From a friend.
No, I'm remiss to do so without discussion. Right. So maybe I shouldn't have.
Like Clay said, you can drop it in the backtrack of any law that we had or have that forced somebody to get an abortion. And I'm not talking about coercion. That's something totally fucking different.
Well, I would
you're
agree this
implying that the
falls under
state made
coercion.
somebody get an abortion.
I remember, God, where was it? I remember reading something about this where they were making people with like severe mental illnesses.
There it
They
is.
get pregnant, give up their children, but I can't remember where or whose. Fuck.
According to the Googles, while government mandated abortions have occurred historically in other countries such as China under the one-child policy, no jurisdiction in the United States legally requires a woman to get an abortion. In fact, forcing or coercing somebody into an abortion is a serious crime in all 50 states, subjecting offenders to both criminal prosecution and civil liability.
But is it okay?
Okay,
Yeah,
so it was a bad
that's just
example
something
what I
a
brought
long
up. We
fucking
don't
time
have
ago.
to
And
focus
it might not
on
have been
it.
in
It
the
was a
US.
bad example. And it was. This was a specific incident where it probably could be classified as coercion. So it doesn't even apply. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
There was laws somewhere, Clay, that they tried to pass, and I'm not coming up with any good ones, but this one got shot down, where if someone was committing a crime, you had to tell the police, or you were now committing a crime.
That's called necessity after the fact. That's why.
If that law passes, I can see where suddenly, in order for you to follow law, you have to do something immoral.
So you're saying that if someone was committing a crime, kind of like Good Samaritan, then I have to report it, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Look, Good Samaritan
That's
laws do
necessary
exist.
after the fact.
But here's actually what I'm surprised you guys didn't bring up the draft, because this is one of the biggest, easiest ones to come after someone who believes the things that I do. However, I have a solution for that, and it is that you can go to jail and be fine. I mean, you still get to serve your God, and even like the worst thing, right? Death, right? You're still serving, right? The idea that you have sacrificed yourself for a greater good by not following man's laws that are violating God's laws, you serve. So yes, I agree that there have been laws throughout many different countries. Currently in the United States, there
Currently here in the United States, there would be some now, yeah.
No, I don't know of any at the moment.
don't you
that
still have the
don't
right to
allow-
be a conscientious objector, even if you are drafted still?
You can. It falls under very heavy scrutiny.
Sure.
And they will vet you on that.
Well, if they nail
By
you,
the way,
you lose your right to vote. You lose a bunch of rights, is what
Correct.
happens.
Yeah.
They don't
I got
put
a
you in
question.
jail. You just lose a bunch of rights.
I got a question to see if people are biased. Now, first I'll say, like, America gave us everything we have or everything we strive to have. We pledge allegiance to America. I'm one of those conservatives that actually believe God should not be in schools. Serve your own God, but pledge your allegiance to America because that's where you live at. All that said, who criticizes Muhammad Ali for dodging the draft? Some people on here or not really?
Well, not me.
I definitely criticize Muhammad.
I don't
Ali
hold
for
an
the
opinion on it.
I have a low opinion.
I think the rights that he should have lost from dodging the draft should have absolutely been taken away from him.
So
Sure,
I
I could agree with that. Yeah,
I have a low opinion of the draft and the Vietnam
Now,
War. So I have
hold
no
up.
problem
Now,
with anybody who ducked out of that bullshit.
I can't ask Paul my next question because it'll be consistent. It's to show if someone isn't consistent.
You can ask me. I think it
one-
was shitty. I think he should have. He should be able to lead a draft. I had no issues with that.
So it seems like everybody believes because then if somebody said no, I don't care that he dodged it. Then I was going to ask, how do you feel about Trump?
I am saying
dodging the
no.
draft?
I don't care that he dodged the draft.
Yeah, I
No.
don't care either.
Yeah.
I
Oh, you
feel
don't.
so much
Okay.
stronger about Trump because Trump became the commander in chief of the army, and his bitch ass wouldn't serve in the army. That
Well, that's
absolutely
why
We've had
Not
plenty of
dodging
presidents
the
that's why I
draft,
didn't ask you,
military.
Boulder.
dodging the draft. Clinton, Trump, all these draft dodgers. they should have been disqualified just by being.
He's got a great
It's
argument.
never been a requirement
Hold
to
up.
have been in
That
the
is a
military
really
to be
good
president.
argument, Ben.
Hold up. Boulder, I agree with you on that. I knew your answer for Trump. That's why I didn't want to ask you, because you are based opinion. But whoever said they don't care Muhammad Ali dodged the draft, do you care that Trump dodged the draft?
The only reason I would have said not because he runs the
I
military.
would agree with Balderson.
No. This was long before he ran the country.
Yes,
You
yes,
can't make an
right.
opinion
What-
based on hindsight.
Listen, I was going to give you. Yes, it depends, right?
Well,
If he
foresight.
hold on, if he dodged the
Foresight,
draft
that's
under some moral purpose, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If he on some bitch shit and he really gonna take advantage of the country and on some bitch shit, then I'd have a problem with it. I assume he
All
did
right.
the latter
Why did Muhammad Ali dodge the draft?
because he didn't want to hurt anyone, kill anyone.
Maybe Trump
Yes,
didn't want to
it's
hurt.
religious
Well,
reasons.
hold on. Muhammad Ali dodged
We
the
know
draft.
that's not
for
the case, though, right? He loves killing people.
Hold up. Muhammad Ali dodged the draft for mainly two reasons. His religion, when he got in touch with Malcolm X, and like I think he said, he didn't want to hurt nobody. But Trump, maybe he didn't want to hurt nobody. Like, so that's why I'm saying you're kind of
No
inconsistent.
chance of that, right? Because it's not inconsistent. We know now, in retrospect, he loves offering people. He don't have a problem hurting people, so it probably wasn't
You're
that.
arguing
Probably
from
not the reason.
foresight, bro. You're arguing from foresight. Stop.
I'm
All
arguing
right.
from
So I'm going to jump in.
Be consistent.
in
I'm gonna
retrospect.
ju-
I'm arguing. We now know.
I'm going to jump in here. Wildcard Worship over on the Benjamin Balderson channel sends to Big Ten and says, where do rights come from? Mr. Balderson, any thoughts?
You're
You're
muted.
muted, rookie.
Rookie move. Rights come from we the people. The Constitution is a document that is the laws that limit the government. But we the people are the ones that are supposed to uphold that, because you can't expect the government to police itself. And so when the government is so heinous that they are consistently breaking the Constitution, i.e. our agreed upon rights, then we are supposed to take that power. So the true rights come from we the people. And if we
Even the
want our
government
rights,
doesn't
we
believe
need to
that,
stand for
Balderson. The government says rights come from God.
Nova.
They would disagree
No, it
with you.
doesn't.
Yes, sir.
The U.S. government
Government
says
doesn't pick
these
sides like
rights
that.
are inalienable. That God-given rights are inalienable.
Hold on. I think we all got to answer the question, then we'll go
I
into
think the
open
host is
debate
talking.
about it.
That's what I think.
I didn't hear the host talk, and I was rebutting some Balderson said.
It's okay. Nova Star, your
Yes, sir.
thoughts on the super chat.
Where do the rights come from? Well, the founding fathers, who are my relatives, stated from God. That not be coming from any man, but comes from God. There you
Toasty
go.
Man Bad, your thoughts.
Laws come from God, not men. Men learn the laws, and then men learn how to enforce the laws.
Yes.
And manipulate them.
There are two types of rights. There are inherent rights. Those are your natural or God-given rights. Then there are what would be understood as legal rights. Those are rights that men institute as authority for you to whatever. It doesn't matter. But in concept, there are two different types of rights. And because there are two different types of rights, when you ask the question, where do rights come from? They come from two different places. One is a natural or inherent place, which a lot of people believe is from God. And then there's the rights that are enacted because a king somewhere decided that it was called divine right. And it was actually not divine right. It's not natural. And he just does some pretty horrible, terrible things.
Kraut, your thoughts on the super chat, sir.
Thank you, Clay.
Yeah, basically what Clay said, but I can add one more thing to show that it's not all rights aren't God given, because by proxy, for the first 100 years we were established as the United States, Black people didn't have rights. So were the founding fathers saying that no man was created equal, or Blacks didn't have a right? That would go against God's teachings. So, like, they probably just said that to make people like happy, jolly, and go with those rights. But yeah, what Clay said, there's inherent rights, and then there's rights that were put by the founding fathers based on what we had to fight for to get our own country.
I would agree with Clay, but I wouldn't agree with your recapitalization of what Clay said. I would agree that the rights that men make, the ones that are protected by the Constitution, civil rights by the government, I mean, and there will be rights under God. And the same thing when people say legal, lawful. You get into it with some people. The distinction of lawful would be what's law, only God's law. That's what's real. And legal is what anybody wrote down, some king or some cat in the 1800s. Don't make it real.
Stuck in New York, your thoughts on the super chat, sir?
Lot of thoughts. I guess a few people have said something similar to what I feel. Our founding fathers encapsulated what they saw to be God-given rights in our Constitution. And that's the way I see it. Those are the rights that are God-given. I would say that some may be enforced by man more than others, but to what Kraut was saying, it's recognize you could be in error, right? And that's what that was. You know, blacks had no rights. Well, they were fucking up. They do have rights. Every man on this planet is given the same rights by God. Just because they weren't recognized doesn't mean they didn't have them to begin with. They had them. They have them now. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well spoken.
For the win, your reaction to the super chat, sir?
Yeah, I really liked what Clay said. I mean, absolutely, number one, we have God-given rights, but we also have legal rights as well, too. I mean, if you want to look at the Second Amendment, for example, we have the right to bear arms. That wasn't a right given to us by our Creator. That was a right given to us by man, ultimately. So it's a combination of both. And I'm thankful to be able to live in this country that allows us to be able to have that right. Because if we didn't have it, we may be Australia or some other country or something. So thank you.
All righty. God's favorite ant. Any thoughts on the super chat, sir?
Sure. I would say the rights emerge from cultural awareness and that culture's willingness to protect that right.
Oh, I believe
that.
I believe our rights come from the Constitution. I believe that our founding fathers gave us the rights that they have, or that we have. And, I can get with Clay saying God gave us a lot of our rights as well. Okay, folks, back to you guys.
I got one for you. Another. Hold on. If I could, I'm sorry.
Is when those rights. The question on that is when those rights are broken. When is God going to show up and give them back to you, or any rights that you were claiming are you going to have to take back yourself?
Yeah, that's not part of the deal.
That's like asking when my daddy's going to show up to solve my fucking problems.
Yeah,
he gave you the rights. I'm saying you given yourself the rights through your own force. That the American
gave you a bike
is the one that makes you.
I don't need God to take care of the earthly business necessarily.
Well, so there's a concept within the Constitution, the Ninth Amendment, natural rights, right? So you have a right to wear socks when you wear shoes, right? So the government didn't grant you that right, although it is encapsulated within the Ninth Amendment. You have a right to swim across a body of water like a river or a pond or a lake that's a public domain, right? Now that, on the other hand, if it's public domain, that might be encapsulated as not only a man-given right, but it's also a God-given right. So those are two rights well established.
So they can be both, yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But then you also have a right to walk into your local courthouse and watch a trial. Now that, on the other hand, is a concept of a right that was given to you by men. God did not give you that right. Yeah, it did not exist. The courthouse did not exist until it was built by men. So those rights are a different concept. There are different various types of rights, but they all fall under those two categories. Either it's something that naturally you have that ostensibly, nobody ought be able to interfere with. But then there's the ones that not not because they ought not be able to be interfered with, but because it makes sense societally that we ought get along. You should have.
This made me think. I had a question for y'all when I hopped up here. Did y'all think a person, because this is what y'all was saying when I first came in, did a person have a right to overthrow the government?
If they're tyrannical, yes.
That is the topic.
Very good. So you guys agree that yes, you do have a right. If there is a time to talk about overthrowing the government, everybody agrees with that.
Yes.
I think if you take a shot,
I'm not publicly saying any of that stuff. Go right ahead.
Yeah, you have a right. You have a right to overthrow your government, but the government also has a right to equally oppose you.
As the old saying
Well,
goes,
that's why I said. I don't know if the one cat was in here when we first started talking. That's literally why we have our Second Amendment. It's not for hunting. It's not for defending ourselves. It's to protect ourselves from a tyrannical. I always say government, but actually in the amendment, it actually says tyrannical military.
Well, let me ask you something, Kraut. I have a question for you now. So you rarely get questions from me. I always get the questions from you. So when you're talking about the Second Amendment, does the Second Amendment give you the right to overthrow the Second Amendment?
Damn, that's like fucking Inception, bro. Hold on. Give me a second. Because the Second Amendment gives you a right to overthrow the Second Amendment. Damn. That's like a fucking paradox.
I don't think it can.
It can't.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
To answer the super chat,
yes, it does, doesn't it?
To answer the
Well,
super chat and what to answer the super chat and what the actual question is, typically we would be on Sarah Tomato's panel tonight. Sarah Tomato did not panel tonight, or else we would normally be on there. Mondays and Thursdays are Sarah Tomato panels. Spin and I do other streams other nights. I do Uncle Ted Talks on Tuesdays, which is not an open panel. And so any other given night, we may be streaming.
Yeah, you never know with us, do we?
There was something planned for tonight. What happened?
Yeah.
Say what?
We're always arguing and butting heads and yelling and screaming at each other.
What did you say?
Clay.
I said yells at
Hold on
y'all.
a minute.
The rest of
Hold
y'all
on.
seem to be in agreement.
Aunt, what did you say?
I said I thought Sarah had something going on tonight. What happened? Did something happen, or am I just misremembering?
She's having a chicken night again.
Oh,
So,
okay, cool.
She's
She's living her good
And
life.
there are some people that know what I mean by that.
Hey, she's having a good time. That's all. That's good
Yeah,
enough for
she's
me.
out
As
having
long
a
as
good
not,
time.
not some serious problem in the back,
No.
Cool. I'm
No.
glad she's having fun. Anyways, back to the topic. Where are we at?
Yeah. Really, this question that I asked really is the crux of the matter, because the topic is a Second Amendment question, in my opinion, right? And so then falls down to the very paradoxical question, which is, does the Second Amendment give you the right to overthrow the Second Amendment?
Technically, yeah. I guess if you're overthrowing the government, you could just shred the Constitution and come up with something completely different.
If that was the case, then why didn't the founders specifically say that?
They kind of did. I mean, if
Because-
you read
did.
the
Yeah,
Second
because
Amendment,
They left
if
it
they're
open
going to
for
allow you to
change.
overthrow the government, then they're going to assume that you want to get rid of that right because it was useless in the first place.
That
also
is,
there's. Sorry.
How is it useless?
It was
if you
deemed
actually
no
used
longer good
it
because that's the whole
purpose?
reason you're going against the government in the first place.
that was
If you
if.
used it for its intended purpose, how is it useless?
Right. That was an if. He was saying it as an
Yeah.
if. If it was the case that it was useless, then you could get rid of it. But it is not. So here's the way that I look at it, guys. So the United States Constitution, along with the Bill of Rights, because that's the Bill of Rights, it is the
First
supreme
10
law.
amendments. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's the supreme law of the land. There is no other law that supersedes that. Therefore, it is not an intent to be overthrown.
It
The
could be
throne
deemed
sits
useless.
on the law.
Yeah, but
it can be deemed
just stuff-
useless in the aspect of now that we put in this new government, we don't want to allow a generation in the future to come against us. So we're gonna either change the wording of the 2A, or we're gonna strike it altogether and not allow the right to rebellion at all.
Also, the thing about the Constitution is like none of it says you and I can't do something, right? The first parts of it describe the government, tell how it should be formed, right? And then you've got the Bill of Rights that tells the government all the things it can't do to you or us, rather, or themselves even.
Exactly.
It's not about it's not really a law about us, right? It's a law against the government.
That's what it was meant
most
for.
rights
They
or
used it.
protections for us against the government.
They
Well,
used
that's
it
why,
as worst way they could. Anything that wasn't written in there, they said it gives us permission to mess with. And only the things talked about in there are
Well,
sacred.
even the
and
things that
they
are
wrote
written
it
in there,
those
they
as
mess
well.
with.
I mean,
Here's
they had
the
to have a
problem.
backstop, Joe. They had to have a backstop in there, or else you have cases that go unresolved because, like, the courts are like, we don't know what to do with this. There's no law to cover with this case, right? So they had to have a backstop to catch cases like that.
Well, that's what what 2385 does is it gives the government right to also resist you. It's an equalizer.
We agree.
Yeah,
So
and that's good.
there is a portion of the Constitution that establishes what the people cannot do. And that would be the same one that establishes the U.S. Code. The U.S. Code is the law, right? When we talk about what is legal and illegal, right, which you can't do. So that portion would be Article 1, Section 8. That's the necessary and proper clause, right? So what it does is it establishes the laws, which is the U.S. Code, and by proxy, what you are not allowed to do as an individual.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, if I was to advocate for the KKK, for example, the government could deem me a domestic terrorist, and they could do something about it. They could arrest me. They could, if I chose to apply force doctrine against them, they could shoot me. They could do any number of things to resolve the issue. If I were to go around supplying people with KKK material, they could arrest me. They could, if I chose to refuse, they could to come quietly and go to court and all that stuff. They could shoot me. I mean, that's what 2385 is for. It's for to give the government the ability to do something about you being a fucking jackass running around the fucking country doing stupid shit. And giving
None of that's going to get you arrested. You can do all of that legally. It's not going to make you popular, but you can do it.
It's not a question of legally. It's a question of whether or not they want to pursue you.
Well, yeah. Well,
you'd have to break the law for them to actually pursue you. Like, yeah, they can label
for
you,
example,
but that doesn't give them any special rights to go after you.
When Ice Cube is sitting there singing "Fuck the Police," and the NWA is doing all their fucking rhetorical bullshit, the government could absolutely go after that as fucking terrorist rhetoric.
They can, but they don't.
They can, but they choose not to.
Why would they go after their own?
That's the identifying difference.
Why not?
Hold up. I grew up on NWA, Toasty. I'll have to strongly disagree with you. NWA and fucking old school Bone Thugs is good. Got me into old school rap. That's the only good rap, by the way.
NWA does. They're good music. Incitement's a high bar.
NWA does not promote any rhetoric or violence against the cops. They just say, "Fuck them." They don't really. I mean, they talk about
the entire fucking song is about killing the cops.
Like the Supreme Court's been heavily skewed for decades in favor of protecting free speech. Like they are.
I think you need to go back and listen to that fucking song, Ant.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Art is art, man.
It doesn't matter. I don't need to. They can sing whatever the fuck they want. It's not singing a song is not incitement.
Sure, they can say whatever they want, but the government reserves right and ability to be able to go after you if they want to.
They have a very high bar to hurdle to be able to prove.
No, it's not. It's a very low bar, as Rob Nora likes to say.
Incitement's very difficult to prove.
It is
No, it's
because you
not.
have freedom
No,
of
it's
speech
not.
and freedom of expression artistically. It's very hard to fucking prove.
All they have to do is link it to a
It's okay,
gang,
Stucky.
an
Pretty convinced
affiliated
he knows
gang unit
everything.
like the Crips or the Bloods.
Okay.
That's all they'd have to do.
Right on.
It's not an extremely high bar at all. It's not an extremely high bar at all.
Yes, it is.
It's a very low bar. It's
Really?
only if they want to go after it.
How many incitement cases were charged last year?
Because some of the cases chose because come
In fact, just do like the last 10 years.
decisions
How many
to let
incitement
someone
cases
go
are there?
or prosecute.
Like they're not.
That's why you got a fucking jury. They make a
show me a
decision.
case where somebody's been prosecuted successfully for incitement due to releasing a song on a recorded medium. Where's it happened? I mean, don't tell me like. Oh,
I'm not saying. I'm not arguing. I'm not
theoretical
hold the fuck up, Ant.
possibility.
Hold the
maybe
fuck up,
because
Ant.
I
I'm not arguing.
misinterpreted the words
I'm
of the law, but because it doesn't fucking happen, it can't happen.
Ant, did I argue that there was ever a specific fucking song?
You're arguing that it's possible. So demonstrate
It is possible. Is it not possible?
Not the way things are set up now. You'd have to change a whole lot
Did
of
they
things.
not go
and
after
remove a
what
whole
was his fucking name, Afro Man, because they thought he did some shit, and then they realized they were fucking being dumb about it?
They did do they listen, and they lost it, and they got sued and fucking lost too, did they not?
But
what happened to them?
But I was not being.
What
I was
happened
not
to
being
that?
hyper.
What happened to the people who raided his house?
I was not being hyper.
What happened to the people who raided
I was saying
his house?
they could. I was saying they could. That's the fucking.
Not
that's the
legally.
thing you're not registering.
Not legally.
I said they
They
could.
cannot do it legally. Oh, a lot of things
said they
could happen. That doesn't make them legal. We're talking about legal procedures, not
It
what
is
if.
legal. It
Yes,
is
people can
legal.
fucking
If they
break the
want
law.
to do it,
Yeah,
they will do it.
No, not legally.
They have the fucking
your own
power.
example
That's what
was
2385
people
is
were
about.
breaking the law and got busted for it. And the courts found against
2385
them.
gives them the legal power to do it if they want to.
They can abuse their authority, yeah, and then the courts are gonna fucking spank them on
You're
the
just
ass.
fucking conceding to my point. Get him out of here.
I'm not conceding shit. We're talking about legal
Get the fuck
shit.
out
not
of here.
fucking people breaking
Bye.
the law. You fucking
See
retard.
ya. Oh, you're fucking stupid.
Conjection.
Get the fuck out of here.
You go to
Quit
fuck out
fucking
of
trying
here.
to talk about shit you don't know about.
You know, okay.
That was horrible. And in the seminal 1971 case, Cohen versus California, the Supreme Court overturned the conviction of a man who wore a jacket reading "Fuck the draft" into a courthouse corridor. The court ruled that offensive, emotive, and vulgar speech is heavily being the key word here, protected under the First Amendment, unless it is likely to incite immediate lawless action. The fighting words doctrine.
Cohen versus California.
That is the Supreme Court decision. The law of the fucking land.
Yeah.
They can
Houston
charge
versus
whatever
Hill.
they want. There's the cops raided his house over weed and then tried to sue him in a civil court over his response to them raiding him over weed, and they lost completely.
Yep.
Not even one juror fucking sided with the cops.
And that cop ate that cake too.
And the cop ate that fucking lemon.
That man's a fucking legend.
There it is. That's my
Alrighty,
point.
gentlemen. Kraut Mick is going to make his exit. Kraut Mick.
Bye, Kraut.
Yeah. All right.
See you later, See you later, Mick.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to
Later,
do a
bro.
little self promo real quick. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want. Get a, I try to be a base conservative with my views. And if you don't want to hear a base conservative view, I also got tons of videos of me playing Division 2 with my clan with a C, killing other players. It's very entertaining. So,
Can I argue with you? Can I come over there and argue with you? Do you drop links? I love to fucking argue with conservatives.
What I do 1v1 debate before, and they mentioned that because I'm on my cell phone is sometimes I cut in and out, so I'm not going to do any more 1v1 so I get a laptop in like a couple weeks, because there are actually a couple people that's been on this panel before that I kind of would like to do a 1v1 and really express my views and where I come from. But yeah, once that happens, man, I'm down.
If y'all put his shit in the regular chat, I'll snatch him up.
So,
Well,
at
what
Kraut Mick.
that my handle back there, like under the name Crop Mick at Crop Mick, you type that shit on YouTube. It's the same ugly mug that's on my emoji right now. That's me.
Did you join the Tomato Discord and sign up for the different individual debates?
Who, me? I believe I did. Yeah.
Did you
I
go
think,
in and
yeah.
sign up for the individual debates and say whether pro or con on each of the topics and things like that? Sarah,
Oh no, I didn't do that. Nah.
yeah,
Well,
she has whole subsections to match, so that way they can match you up on who to do an individual debate with.
Oh no shit. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna let that. But I'm out, man. My phone's at 4%. I didn't bring my charger with me.
All right,
Everybody have a
everybody,
good night.
thanks for coming up.
Good talking.
Thanks for having me.
And if you would like to join the open panel, the StreamYard link, I'm going to drop the StreamYard link again. I'm going to go ahead and
Was that
disconnect.
Mick who was asking? Just shake your head, Balderson.
I am going to remove
I was
Mick from the
rolling a
stream
cigarette.
just in case anything happens. We don't want that. If you would like to continue, come on over to the Spin City News channel, Benjamin Balderson channel, or School of Thought, and you can continue the conversation.
I wasn't shaking my head.
All right.
I wasn't shaking
Hey,
my head, Toasty.
where's
I
my
was
shout out?
licking my
Where's my
cigarette.
Oh,
shout out, asshole?
sorry, Toasty man, bad. I apologize. Now, can I disconnect
Fucker.
now?
I'm gonna
Toasty?
wheel
Is that
your
good
ass
enough
down
for
the
you?
hallway, bro. I'm gonna wheel